Taman stood at the window of the command center, watching the red sun of New Sol rise over the mining colony. The planet looked peaceful from here, but he knew better. 3,000 human settlers called this place home now. They had worked for 5 years to build something good here. The morning started like any other. Workers headed to the mines, children went to school, families began their daily routines. Nobody knew that today would change everything. So Young walked into the command center with a coffee cup in her hand. She had been the security chief for 2 years now. Before coming to New Sol, she served in Earth's military for 10 years. She knew how to keep people safe. "Morning, Taman," she said. "All quiet on the sensor grid." The night shift reported nothing unusual. Taman nodded. "Good. Dongwu says the new mining equipment should arrive next week. We can finally expand the South Tunnel." Dongwu was their best engineer. He came from Earth 6 months ago with new ideas for the colony's defense systems, not that they expected to need them. New Sol was far from the main trade routes. Most aliens ignored this part of space. The first sign of trouble came at lunchtime. Young A, their communications officer, called from her station across the room. "Sir, I'm getting something strange on the long-range sensors. Multiple objects moving toward us, they're big." So Young set down her coffee and walked over to look at the screen. Her face went pale. "Those are ships. Military formation. I count 12 of them." Taman felt his stomach drop. "How long until they reach us?" 6 hours, maybe 7, Youngie said. Her voice shook a little. So Young was already moving toward the weapons locker. "I'm calling all security teams to the command center. We need to prepare for anything." The next hour passed in a blur. Security teams took positions around the colony. Families moved to the underground shelters. The mining equipment became makeshift barriers. Everyone worked together, but fear filled the air. Then the message came. Youngie's equipment began beeping loudly. Strange sounds filled the room. It took several minutes for the translation program to make sense of the alien language. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and harsh. It spoke with the confidence of someone who had never been told no. "Primitive humans of this pathetic settlement. I am Supreme Commander Vex Thule of the Vorthak Empire. You have entered space that belongs to us. You have built on worlds that we claim. This is unacceptable." Taman looked around the room. Every face stared at the speakers. Even the children in the shelters could hear this message. The alien voice continued. "We have studied your species. You are young and weak. Your technology is simple. Your governments cannot agree on anything. You fight wars over small pieces of dirt. You are not worthy of the stars." So Young's hands clenched into fists. She had fought in 3 different conflicts on Earth. She knew what humans could do when pushed too far. "We give you one chance," the alien said. "Leave this world. Leave all worlds beyond your home system. Return to Earth and stay there. You have 48 hours to begin evacuation. If you refuse, we will remove you ourselves. There will be no survivors." The message ended. Silence filled the command center. Dongwu spoke first. "Can we fight them? What kind of weapons do they have?" So Young studied the sensor readings. "Their ships are bigger than anything we have. The energy signatures are off the charts. If this was a fair fight, we would lose badly." "But it won't be a fair fight," Taman said quietly. "Will it?" So Young smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "No, it won't be fair at all." Taman called for a colony meeting. Everyone gathered in the main hall, even the people from the outer mining stations. 3,000 faces looked up at him. Some were scared, some were angry. All of them were waiting for him to make the hardest decision of his life. "You all heard the message," he began. "These aliens want us to leave. They think we're too weak to fight back. They think we'll just run away." A miner named Gyuri stood up. "My family came here to build something new. We're not running." Others began to speak. Parents talked about their children's future. Workers talked about the years they had spent building the colony. Everyone had the same message. This was their home now. Taman looked at So Young. She nodded once. "Then we stay," he said. "We fight." The U Crowd erupted in cheers, but Taemin held up his hand for quiet. This won't be easy. We don't have warships or plasma cannons, but we have something else. We have each other. We have this world that we built with our own hands, and we have 5 years of experience making the impossible work. So, Young stepped forward. I need volunteers for defense teams. We'll use everything we have. Mining explosives, construction equipment, even the farming tools if we have to. Hands went up across the room. Almost everyone volunteered. Dongwu raised his voice. The underground tunnels connect the whole colony. We can move without being seen. The aliens might have better ships, but they don't know our home like we do. Youngie spoke up from the back. I can send a message to other human colonies. Warn them what's coming. Maybe some will help us. Taemin felt something growing in his chest. It was not hope exactly. It was something stronger. It was the feeling that came when humans decided they would not give up. Send the message, he told Young A. Tell them we're staying. Tell them we're fighting. Tell them that today, humanity stops running from anyone. As the colonists began preparing for war, none of them knew they were about to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The Vorthak Empire thought they were destroying a small human settlement. Instead, they were about to wake up something that had been sleeping among the stars. Something that did not like being threatened. Something that turned every challenge into a chance to become stronger. Something that called itself humanity. The Vorthak fleet arrived exactly when they said they would. 12 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace above New Sol. Each one was 3 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Commander Ziltar stood on the bridge of the lead ship, looking down at the small planet below. His tactical officers reported standard defensive positions around the human settlement. A few small weapons, some basic shields, nothing that would last more than a few minutes against Vorthak firepower. Begin standard siege protocol, he ordered. Disable their communications first, then destroy their power systems. Leave the living areas for last. We want survivors to tell other humans what happens when they refuse our demands. But the first surprise came immediately. Sir, his weapons officer called out. Their communication array is underground. Our scans can't locate it precisely. Ziltar frowned. Most species kept their communications above ground for better signal strength. No matter. Begin bombardment of their obvious targets. On the planet below, Hyejin watched the alien ships through the periscope Dongwu had built into the hillside. She was only 25 years old, but she had studied military history since she was a child. Her grandmother had been a general on Earth. They're following standard attack patterns, she told So Young through the underground communication system. Hit the power plant first, then the main buildings. Very predictable. So Young's voice crackled through the speakers. Are the mining charges ready? Sung Ho answered from his position near the main mining site. All set. Dongwu's magnetic field idea is working perfectly. Their scanners can't see through the interference we're creating. The first Vorthak energy beams struck the power plant. The building exploded in a ball of fire. The aliens probably expected the humans to panic. Instead, backup power systems came online immediately. The colony had been running on geothermal energy from the start. The power plant was just for show. Phase 1 complete, Hyejin announced. They think they hit something important. Commander Ziltar was confused. His sensors showed the power plant destroyed, but the human settlement still had full power. Scan again, find their real power source. While the aliens tried to figure out what went wrong, Sung Ho was busy with his own plans. He had worked in Izyo demolitions for 15 years before coming to New Sol. He knew explosives better than anyone. The mining site held enough shaped charges to blast through solid rock. But Sung Ho had something more creative in mind. Jiwoo, are you ready with the communication relay? He asked. Jiwoo sat in a hidden bunker 2 kilometers from the main colony. Her job was to coordinate with other human settlements and keep everyone connected. Standing by. The signal boosters are working through the tunnel system just like you planned. Sung Ho grinned. Then let's give our visitors a warm welcome. The second wave of Vorthak attacks targeted what looked like defensive positions around the colony. Energy beams struck the barriers the humans had built from mining equipment. The barriers exploded dramatically, but they were empty. Every piece of heavy equipment was remotely controlled from the underground tunnels. The humans were not behind those barriers. They were underneath the aliens. "Sir," the Vorthak tactical officer reported, "we're reading no human casualties. Where are they?" Ziltar studied his screens. According to every scan they had, the humans should be dead or dying. Instead, the settlement looked abandoned. "Send down landing parties. Search every building." That was exactly what Hyejin was waiting for. The Vorthak landing shuttles came down in the main plaza, just like she knew they would. Alien soldiers marched out in perfect formation. Their armor was advanced. Their weapons could cut through steel. But they had never fought humans before. The first explosion came from directly underneath them. Sung Ho had buried mining charges throughout the plaza weeks ago. The shaped explosives were designed to blast through rock. They worked very well on alien armor, too. The second surprise was the crossfire. Human defenders popped up from hidden positions all around the plaza. They were not using energy weapons like the aliens expected. They used kinetic rifles. Simple, gunpowder weapons that fired metal bullets. The Vorthak shields were designed to stop energy attacks. They were much less effective against fast-moving chunks of metal. "What kind of primitive species still uses projectile weapons?" One alien soldier shouted into his communicator before a sniper's bullet found the weak spot in his helmet. Hyejin coordinated the battle from her hidden command post. "Team 3, they're trying to flank through the school building. Sung Ho, can you make that building come down?" "With pleasure," Sung Ho replied. 30 seconds later, the school building collapsed on top of a squad of alien soldiers. The humans had evacuated all the important buildings days ago, but the aliens did not know that. Commander Ziltar watched his landing parties get destroyed by humans using tools and tactics that should not work. "How are they doing this? Our intelligence said they were primitive." His science officer studied the sensor readings. "Sir, they're using the planet's magnetic field to hide their movements. Every time we scan one area, they appear somewhere else. And their weapons, they're so simple our shields barely recognize them as threats." The third wave of attacks came from space. Ziltar ordered his ships to bombard the entire settlement. If he could not find the humans, he would destroy everything. But Dongwu had prepared for that too. The colony's defensive system was not based on shields or energy weapons. It was based on something much simpler. When the bombardment began, every building in the settlement exploded, not from the alien attacks, from charges the humans had placed themselves. "My God," Ziltar whispered as he watched the planet's surface erupt in flames. Did they just destroy their own colony? The answer came a few minutes later when his ship started taking damage. The exploding buildings had launched thousands of metal fragments into space, simple chunks of steel and aluminum, traveling at tremendous speed. Dongwu had turned the entire colony into a massive shotgun pointed at the sky. The Vorthak ships had shields designed to stop missiles and energy beams. They were not prepared for a cloud of high-speed debris that looked like random space junk to their sensors. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7, the damage control officer reported. "These fragments are moving too fast for our point defense systems." As alarms rang throughout the Vorthak fleet, Jiwoo was busy with her most important job. She sent a detailed report to every human colony in the sector. "This is New Seoul calling all human settlements. We are under attack by alien forces calling themselves the Vorthak Empire. They demand we abandon all colonies outside Earth's solar system. They believe we are too primitive to resist. Today we proved them wrong." Her message included tactical data, weapon specifications, and everything the colonists had learned about Vorthak technology. Most importantly, it included Hyejin's analysis of alien weaknesses. Their shields don't work well against kinetic weapons. Their sensors can be fooled by magnetic interference. They follow predictable attack patterns. They have never fought anyone who thinks like us. The message spread through human space faster than the Vorthak fleet could travel. Every colony began preparing defenses. Every human settlement started turning mining equipment into weapons. Back on New Sol, the survivors regrouped in the deep tunnels. They had lost the surface colony, but they had accomplished something more important. Casualty report? So Young asked. 43 wounded, 6 dead, the medic replied. Could have been much worse. Heejin looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet is pulling back to high orbit. We hurt them more than they expected. Sung-ho was already planning the next phase. They'll try a different approach now. Maybe ground assault with heavier forces. Taemin listened to all the reports. His people were tired and scared, but they were not defeated. They had faced the mighty Vorthak Empire and lived to tell about it. They wanted to make an example of us, he said. Instead, we made an example of them. Every human colony now knows. These aliens can be beaten. In space above them, Commander Ziltar was learning the same lesson. His report to the Vorthak High Council was very different from what he had expected to send. The humans are not as primitive as we believed. Recommend immediate reinforcements and revised tactical approach. He did not yet understand that he had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. He had given humanity time to prepare. News of the battle at New Sol spread through human space like wildfire. Within days, every colony knew what had happened. The reaction was not what the Vorthak Empire expected. Instead of fear, there was anger. Instead of surrender, there was preparation. Admiral Min Seok received the emergency call while he was having breakfast on Luna Station. He had been retired from active duty for 3 years, enjoying his peaceful life managing cargo routes. That peaceful life ended the moment he heard Jiwoo's transmission from New Sol. Get me a connection to Earth Command, he told his aide. Priority Alpha. We're going to war. Within hours, Min Seok was back in uniform. Earth's government gave him complete authority to coordinate humanity's defense. His first order surprised everyone. I want every cargo ship, every mining vessel, every passenger transport converted for military use. We don't have time to build proper warships. We'll make do with what we have. Dr. Yoonji was working late in her laboratory on Titan when the call came. She was humanity's leading expert on alien technology, though she had never expected to use that knowledge in a war. Admiral Min Seok wants to see me? She asked her assistant. What could the military want with a xenobiologist? She found out when she arrived at the hastily established war room on Luna Station. On the central table was a piece of metal taken from the New Sol battle site. It was part of a Vorthak ship that had been damaged by Dongwu's explosive debris. Cloud, can you figure out how their technology works? Min Seok asked. Yoonji picked up the fragment and examined it under a portable scanner. Her eyes went wide. This is incredible. Their hull plating uses a crystalline matrix I've never seen before. But look at this. She pointed to a stress fracture running through the metal. Their technology is amazing, but it's specialized. These ships are designed to fight other energy-based weapons. They're actually vulnerable to simple kinetic impact. How vulnerable? Min Seok wanted to know. Very. Their shields can deflect energy beams that would vaporize our ships, but a simple steel rod moving fast enough would punch right through them. Min Seok smiled grimly. Then that's exactly what we'll give them. On the other side of the galaxy, Supreme Commander Vex Thul was dealing with his own problems. Commander, Ziltar's report from New Sol had been disturbing. You're telling me that a few thousand primitive humans held off our entire task force? Sir, they used tactics we have never encountered. They turned their own colony into a weapon. Their fighting style is completely irrational. Vex Thul studied the battle recordings. The humans had destroyed their own buildings rather than let them be captured. They had used mining equipment as military weapons. They had hidden in tunnels like some kind of burrowing creatures. No matter. Deploy the Second Armada. If these humans want to fight, we will show them what real military power looks like. But while the Vorthaks prepared their massive fleet, humanity was adapting faster than anyone thought possible. Commander Jun Ho led the first successful raid on a Vorthak supply depot 3 weeks after New Sol. His team used a captured cargo ship disguised as a refugee vessel. The Vorthaks let them approach without suspicion. Remember, Jun Ho told his team as they docked with the alien station, We're not here to win a battle. We're here to learn everything we can about how they think. The raid lasted only 20 minutes. Junho's team captured computer files, weapon samples, and 3 alien prisoners. But the most important discovery was how easily the Vorthax were fooled. They assume everyone fights like they do, Junho reported to Admiral Min Seok. They have protocols for everything, but no flexibility when those protocols fail. The captured Vorthak computer files were a treasure trove of information. Dr. Yoonji worked around the clock to translate them. What she found changed everything. Admiral, you need to see this. These are their star charts. Look at how their empire is organized. Min Seok studied the holographic display. The Vorthak Empire controlled 12 star systems in a neat, efficient pattern. Their military bases were perfectly positioned to defend against attacks from other organized empires. They're not prepared for asymmetric warfare, he realized. Their entire defensive strategy assumes their enemies will attack obvious military targets. Exactly. But look at this. Yoonji highlighted several systems on the map. These are their industrial worlds, no military defenses at all. They never considered that anyone would attack civilian targets. Min Seok felt a cold satisfaction growing in his chest. Then it's time to teach them about total war. The first human counterattack came from an unexpected direction. Instead of trying to match the Vorthak Second Armada in direct combat, human fleets appeared deep in alien territory. Converted cargo ships dropped out of hyperspace in systems that had not seen war in centuries. The attack on Vorthak Omega-7 was typical. A human task force of 12 ships appeared without warning in orbit around a major industrial world. The planet had no military defenses because no one had ever been crazy enough to attack it before. Captain Bae Sung commanded the lead ship, a converted mining vessel now armed with kinetic weapons. Broadcasting surrender demand on all frequencies. You have 10 minutes to evacuate all military personnel and weapons manufacturing facilities. The Vorthak planetary government did not know how to respond. Their protocols did not cover this situation. Sir, the humans are not demanding our surrender, the communications officer reported. They only want us to remove our military assets. What happens if we refuse? Their answer came in the form of a kinetic bombardment that leveled every weapons factory on the planet. The humans were not trying to conquer territory. They were crippling the Vorthak war machine. Similar attacks happened across the empire. Human ships appeared in previously safe systems, destroyed military and industrial targets, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Each raid gathered more intelligence, captured more technology, and spread more fear. Supreme Commander, Bexthal watched his empire's industrial capacity crumble in real time. How are they doing this? Our intelligence says humans barely have faster-than-light travel. His science advisor had been studying the captured human ships. Sir, they are reverse engineering our technology at an impossible rate. This engine fragment shows they have adapted our hyperspace drives to work with their primitive computer systems. That should take decades. Yes, sir, it should. But somehow they are doing it in weeks. What the Vorthax did not understand was that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their tactics. It was their approach to problem solving. When faced with a challenge, humans did not look for the proper way to handle it. They looked for any way that worked. Dr. Yoonji's team had torn apart captured Vorthak ships like children taking apart toys. They did not care if they broke things in the process. They just wanted to understand how everything worked. Look at this. Power coupling, she told her assistant while examining a hyperdrive component. The aliens built it to last forever. Very elegant. But if we replace it with this simple human component, we can make it run 30% faster. Won't that wear it out quickly? Yes. But we can build 10 of our components for the cost of one of theirs. We don't need equipment that lasts forever. We need equipment that gives us an advantage right now. This philosophy was spreading throughout the human war effort. While the Vorthax tried to perfect their existing technology, humans were constantly improvising and adapting. Commander Junho's raiders had learned to capture Vorthax ships intact by using electromagnetic pulse weapons that shut down alien systems without destroying them. Within hours, human engineers would have those ships running again with hybrid human-alien technology. We now have 47 captured Vorthak vessels in our fleet. Junho reported to Admiral Min Seok. The enemy keeps losing ships, but never learns to guard against our capture techniques. Min Seok looked at the strategic display showing human forces throughout Vorthak space. 6 months ago, humanity had barely controlled a dozen star systems. Now they were conducting operations across half the galaxy. Any word from the second Armada? He asked. Still in transit to New Sol. They're moving slowly because they don't want to leave their supply lines undefended. After what we did to their industrial worlds, they're being very careful. Min Seok smiled. Good. Let them be careful. Every day they delay gives us more time to prepare surprises. On New Sol, the colonists were indeed preparing surprises. Hyejin had been promoted to overall tactical commander for the sector. Under her leadership, the planet had become a fortress. The second Armada will arrive in 2 weeks, she told her staff. They're bringing everything they have. Energy weapons, shield ships, planetary bombardment systems. They plan to turn this world into glass. Sung Ho grinned from his seat at the conference table. Let them come. We've had months to prepare this. Time. The Vorthak Empire was about to learn another lesson about humanity. They had given humans time to think, time to plan, and time to turn their anger into something focused and deadly. They were about to discover that cornering humanity was the worst tactical mistake in galactic history. The emergency session in Earth's capital lasted 3 days. Representatives from every human colony, every military branch, and every major corporation gathered in the Great Hall. The question was simple. How far was humanity willing to go? Bo-Ra stood at the podium, her silver hair catching the light as she addressed the assembly. She had been Earth's chief of defense for 8 years, but nothing in her experience had prepared her for this moment. The Vorthak Empire has made their intentions clear, she began. They want us extinct, not conquered, not enslaved. Extinct. They have given us no choice but to respond in kind. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what she was about to announce. As of today, humanity is implementing Total War Protocol. Every resource, every factory, every research facility will be dedicated to one goal, the complete defeat of the Vorthak Empire. The transformation began immediately. Civilian spacecraft factories stopped making passenger ships and started building warships. Mining operations shifted from gathering materials for colonies to gathering materials for weapons. Research universities canceled their academic programs and focused entirely on military applications. Dr. Wu Jin found himself in charge of humanity's most ambitious project. His laboratory on Mars had been studying captured Vorthak technology for months. Now he had unlimited resources and a simple mandate: create weapons that could end this war. Show me what you have, Bo-Ra said during her first visit to his facility. Wu Jin led her to a testing chamber where his team was working on their latest creation. We call it a hybrid kinetic energy weapon. It uses Vorthak power systems to accelerate human projectiles to incredible speeds. The demonstration was impressive. A simple steel rod fired from the hybrid weapon punched through 3 meters of the strongest Vorthak armor like it was paper. Their technology is more advanced than ours, Wu Jin explained, but it's also more complex. They build things to be elegant and efficient. We build things to work. When we combine both approaches, we get weapons that are better than either species could make alone. Bo-Ra finished. How quickly can we mass produce these? Give me 6 months and unlimited manufacturing capacity. I'll give you weapons that will make the Vorthaks wish they had never heard of humanity. While Earth's industry converted to wartime production, the war itself was changing. Admiral Min Seok had moved his headquarters to a captured Vorthak station in what used to be enemy territory. From there, he coordinated attacks across the galaxy. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, we're getting reports from deep space. Reconnaissance. The Vorthak home fleet is mobilizing. Min Seok studied the tactical display. The alien home fleet was massive, hundreds of ships including vessels that were larger than anything humanity had ever encountered. They're finally taking us seriously, he observed. How long before they reach our forward positions? 8 weeks, sir. But they're not heading for our colonies, they're moving toward their own industrial worlds. I think they're trying to protect what's left of their manufacturing capacity. Minseok smiled coldly. Then it's time for the next phase. Contact all fleet commanders. Operation Deep Strike is authorized. Operation Deep Strike was humanity's boldest move yet. Instead of waiting for the Vorthak home fleet to attack, human forces would strike directly at the heart of the alien. Empire Captain Nari commanded one of the Deep Strike fleets. Her ships were a mixture of captured Vorthak vessels and converted human transports. On paper, her fleet should not have been able to threaten a major alien world. In practice, they were about to prove that human creativity was worth more than superior technology. Target is Vorthak Prime 6, she announced to her crew. Population, 4 billion. Military significance, minimal. Industrial significance, critical. They manufacture 60% of the Empire's computer systems. Her first officer studied the intelligence reports. Sir, the planet has orbital defense platforms. Not military grade, but they could still cause us problems. Not after we're done with them, Nari replied. Begin jamming sequence. The attack on Vorthak Prime 6 became the template for human warfare. Instead of announcing their presence with a massive assault, Nari's ships appeared quietly in the outer system. They used captured Vorthak identification codes to approach the planet without raising alarms. The orbital platforms did not realize they were under attack until human boarding parties were already inside their control rooms. By then, it was too late. Sir, the platform commander reported to Planetary Defense, we have been compromised. Unknown hostiles have taken control of stations 4 through 7. We are transmitting surrender codes. The planetary government faced a terrible choice. They could fight and watch their world burn, or they could surrender and hope the humans were merciful. They chose surrender. This is Captain Nari of the Human Defense Force. Your orbital defenses are under our control. You have 1 hour to evacuate all military personnel and shut down all weapons manufacturing. Comply with our demands and your civilian population will not be harmed. The Vorthaks complied. They had no choice. This pattern repeated across the Empire. Human fleets appeared at industrial worlds that had never seen combat. Local defenses, designed to deter pirates rather than military invasion, collapsed immediately. Within weeks, the Vorthak war machine was running on fumes. Supreme Commander Vexthul watched his empire crumble from his command ship at the center of the home fleet. His tactical displays showed red markers everywhere. Hundreds of worlds under human control or influence, industrial capacity down to 15% of normal levels, supply lines severed. How did this happen? He demanded of his staff. 6 months ago, these humans had barely left their home system. Now they control half our territory. His intelligence chief had spent weeks analyzing human tactics. Sir, they do not fight like any species we have encountered. They adapt faster than our protocols can account for. Every time we develop a counter strategy, they change their approach. Then we will destroy their homeworld, Vexthul declared. Cut off the head and the body dies. But when the home fleet reached Earth's solar system, they found something that defied all their expectations. The space around Earth buzzed with activity. Thousands of ships moved in perfect coordination. Orbital factories produced weapons and supplies around the clock. The entire system had become a single, massive military base. My God, whispered Vexthul's tactical officer. How many ships do they have? The answer came from Earth itself. Admiral Minseok's voice reached them on all frequencies. Vorthak Fleet, this is Admiral Minseok of the Human Defense Force. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Your empire is defeated. Your worlds are under our protection. Surrender now and your crews will be treated with dignity. Vexthul looked at his scanner displays. Human ships were everywhere. Not just converted civilian vessels, but purpose-built. Warships armed with hybrid technology that his scientists said should not exist. How many ships? He asked again. Over 3,000, sir, and they're still building more. For the first time in his long military career, Supreme Commander Vexthul understood what fear felt like. The humans had not just matched Vorthak technology, they had surpassed it. They had not just survived the Empire's attack, they had turned it into motivation for something terrible and beautiful. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender terms from the humans. Terms? The document that appeared on his screen was unlike anything in galactic diplomatic history. The humans were not demanding tribute or territory. They were demanding something far more fundamental. They want us to disarm completely, his aide reported. All military vessels to be turned over to human forces. All weapons manufacturing to cease. All aggressive expansion to end permanently. And if we refuse? The answer came in the form of a demonstration. A single human ship no larger than a Vorthak destroyer fired one shot at a distant asteroid. The asteroid simply ceased to exist. Sir, the science officer's voice shook. That weapon signature, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. They've weaponized our own technology in ways we never imagined. Vexthul stared at the empty space where the asteroid had been. In that moment, he understood the truth that would haunt the Vorthak Empire for generations to come. They had not declared war on a primitive species. They had awakened something that turned conflict into evolution, challenge into opportunity, and threat into motivation for greatness. They had declared war on humanity, and humanity had won. The surrender ceremony took place on a neutral station that had been hastily constructed at the edge of Vorthak space. Representatives from dozens of alien species came to witness what many called the most important moment in galactic history. Kyung-Soo adjusted his diplomatic robes as he prepared to enter the main chamber. He had been humanity's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 5 years, but nothing had prepared him for this role. He was about to accept the surrender of an empire that had ruled this part of the galaxy for 3 centuries. Supreme Commander Vexthul stood at the opposite end of the chamber, flanked by what remained of his command staff. His proud military bearing was gone. In its place was the hollow look of someone who had watched everything he believed proven wrong. Before we begin the formal surrender, Kyung-Soo announced, I want all species present to understand what has happened here. The Vorthak Empire declared war on humanity, believing we were primitive and weak. Today, 18 months later, we gather to witness the end of that empire. The chamber was silent except for the quiet hum of translation devices. The Vorthak military has been defeated. Their industrial capacity is under human control. Their homeworlds are occupied by human forces. But this ceremony is not about conquest. It is about choosing a path forward. Young-Mi sat in the observers section, recording everything for the historical archives. As humanity's leading war historian, she had been documenting the conflict from the beginning. What she had witnessed would reshape how the galaxy understood warfare, diplomacy, and the nature of intelligence itself. The speed of human adaptation during this conflict exceeds anything in recorded history, she whispered into her recorder. In 18 months, humanity went from a minor species with limited space presence to the dominant military force in this sector. The implications are staggering. Admiral Seok Jin commanded the human fleet that surrounded the station. His ships represented the culmination of humanity's wartime evolution. They were no longer converted civilian vessels or captured alien ships. They were purpose-built instruments of war that combined the best of human innovation with captured Vorthak technology. Sir, his communications officer reported, long-range sensors are detecting movement in the hegemony sectors. Multiple species are mobilizing their fleets. Seokjin was not surprised. The galaxy was nervous. Humanity had defeated the Vorthak Empire so completely that other alien powers were wondering if they might be next. Maintain defensive positions, he ordered. We're here for the surrender ceremony, nothing more. But everyone in the chamber knew that the old galactic order was dead. Humanity had not just won a war. They had demonstrated a completely different approach to conflict that made traditional military thinking obsolete. Supreme Commander Vexthul stepped forward to address the assembly. His voice was steady, but everyone could hear the defeat in it. I speak for the Vorthak Empire when I say that we surrender unconditionally to human forces. We acknowledge that our declaration of war was based on false assumptions about human capabilities and intentions. He paused, struggling with words that would be remembered for centuries. We believed ourselves to be the apex of military evolution. We were wrong. The humans have shown us that true strength comes not from perfecting existing methods, but from constantly adapting to new challenges. Kyung-soo stepped forward to accept the formal surrender documents. But his next words surprised everyone in the chamber. The human government has decided that the Vorthak Empire will not be dismantled or occupied indefinitely. Instead, we offer the Vorthak people a choice. He gestured to a holographic display showing star maps of the region. Those who wish to remain in your traditional territories may do so, under human protection and guidance. You will disarm your military forces and focus on peaceful development. In return, humanity will defend your worlds against external threats and help you rebuild your economy. And the alternative? Bexthol asked. Voluntary resettlement to worlds beyond human space. We will provide transport and basic supplies. You may rebuild your civilization wherever you choose, as long as you agree never to threaten other species. Again, the offer was unprecedented in galactic history. Most conquering species either enslaved their enemies or drove them to extinction. Humanity was offering integration or exile, but not destruction. Young Mi made careful notes about the reactions from other species representatives. The smaller powers looked relieved. The larger empires looked thoughtful. Everyone was reassessing their relationship with this new human power. Why? Bexthol asked. You have the strength to destroy us completely. Why offer mercy? Kyung-soo's answer would be quoted in diplomatic schools for generations. Because we learned something during this war that you never understood. True victory is not about destroying your enemies. It's about making them no longer want to be your enemies. The formal surrender took another 3 hours. Treaties were signed, territorial boundaries were redrawn, and reparations were negotiated. But the real business had been concluded with that single exchange. After the ceremony, Young Mi interviewed participants from both sides. The patterns she discovered would form the basis of her groundbreaking study on human warfare. The Vorthaks fought to maintain their existing system, she noted. Every tactical decision was designed to preserve their empire's structure and traditions. Humans fought to survive and grow. Every tactical decision was designed to create new possibilities. She interviewed Taemin, who had traveled from New Seoul to witness the surrender. The colony administrator had become something of a celebrity after his defiant stand against the first Vorthak ultimatum. Did you ever think it would end like this? She asked him. Taemin looked out at the human fleet surrounding the station. Honestly? No. When that first message came, I thought we might buy enough time for other colonies to escape. I never imagined we would end up here. What do you think happens next? We build something better. That's what humans do. We take whatever challenge we face and use it to become stronger. Admiral Seok-jin was conducting his own interviews with captured Vorthak officers. What he learned confirmed humanity's tactical superiority, but it also revealed something troubling. They're afraid of us, he reported to Earth Command. Not just defeated, afraid. Word is spreading through the galaxy that humans are some kind of unstoppable force. The response from Bora was immediate. We need to be careful. Fear can be as dangerous as hatred. If other species decide we're too dangerous to exist, they might unite against us, Seok-jin finished, just like the Vorthaks tried to do. This concern led to humanity's next major decision. Instead of leveraging their military victory for territorial expansion, they chose a different path. Ambassador Kyung-soo announced it during his address to the Galactic Council 3 months after the surrender. Humanity has no interest in conquering the galaxy. We have proven our ability to defend ourselves and our allies. Now we want to prove our commitment to peace. The Human Defense Initiative offered military protection to any species that requested it in exchange for trade agreements and technological cooperation. Within a year, 47 different alien governments had signed defense pacts with humanity. The galaxy was more stable than it had been in centuries. Young Mi's historical analysis was published 2 years after the war ended. Her conclusions reshaped how intelligent species understood conflict and evolution. The Vorthak-human war was not just a military conflict, she wrote. It was a demonstration of 2 completely different approaches to existence itself. The Vorthax sought to perfect and preserve. Humans sought to adapt and transcend. The outcome was inevitable once the conflict began, not because humans were stronger, but because human thinking was more flexible. Every challenge became an opportunity for growth. Every setback became motivation for innovation. The galaxy now understands that humanity represents something new, not just another intelligent species, but a form of intelligence that treats change as an advantage rather than a threat. She concluded her study with an observation that would prove prophetic. The Vorthak Empire's greatest mistake was not underestimating human technology or military capability. Their mistake was assuming that humans thought like they did. They proclaimed war on a species that turned their declaration into motivation for evolution. It was indeed their last mistake, but it was also humanity's first lesson in what they were capable of becoming. 5 years after the war ended, Admiral Seok Jin stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, looking out at Earth. The blue planet that had once seemed so isolated now served as the center of the largest defensive alliance in galactic history. "Any regrets?" asked his aide, a young officer who had never known a galaxy where humanity was not a major power. Seok Jin thought about the question. Millions had died during the war. Entire worlds had been transformed. The old order was gone forever. "No," he said finally. "The Vorthax taught us something important about ourselves. They showed us that when humanity is pushed to its limits, those limits disappear." He gestured toward the stars, where human ships patrolled alongside vessels from dozens of allied species. They wanted to put us back in our place. Instead, they helped us find our place among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity would never again